Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure is often considered to be one of the worst RMCs ever created. Now, why is Jersey Devil hated on so much? Well, when the official animation of Jersey Devil was released to the public, people were saying that this ride is close to a top 10 ride for them. They were saying that this ride is going to be 100% better than the smaller, more compact Raptors, mostly because this one has more of an expansive layout and seems to have more inversions and airtime moments. But then, the first ever testing footage was released, and to put it nicely, people were very disappointed. And the fact that it valid on one of its first ever test runs does not help its case at all. All around the internet at this time, people were trashing Jersey Devil on how slow and boring it looked to be. People were already pegging it as the worst RMC, even though they haven't even got to ride it yet. When Jersey Devil opened on the 13th of June, people were very disappointed or very surprised. Now what boat am I in? Well, find out today in today's review of Jersey Devil Coaster. The first category in today's review is the presentation category. Now, I think that Jersey Devil's presentation is spot on, as I love how Six Flags went with an original theme with this coaster. I'm very happy that they didn't theme this ride to another DC Comics superhero or supervillain, as that's pretty much all they do these days. It's also great that this ride has its own plaza, as it really shows that Six Flags is putting more effort into their attractions nowadays. I also really do think that the orange color scheme of the ride really does pop against the sunlight, and it is a great contrast to the black supports. Now, the queue line itself doesn't have a whole lot of theming, but at least it looks nice and there are some signs to look at while you're waiting. Now, the highlight of the theming for me is the giant Jersey Devil statue outside of the ride's entrance. This was reused from their old El Diablo Larson loop, and I loved how they reused this statue because it really looks amazing. Another highlight of the theming for me have to be the trains, as these are some of the coolest trains I have ever seen. The front car looks absolutely insane, but it looks like the Jersey Devil is actually eating the track. But other than those two things, the station is pretty bland and there isn't really much theming throughout the course itself, or any at all. But you have to remember that this is Six Flags and you get what you get. Now, let's go into the actual ride experience itself. To start off the ride, you head up the 130-foot tall lift hill, and you might want to block your ears for this part because this is probably the loudest lift hill I have ever been on. Yeah, it's pretty loud. Then, after you've blocked your ears for a straight 10 seconds, be prepared to head down the 86-degree first drop. Now, if you're in the front row on this drop, you won't get too much airtime, but it's a really cool visual to be looking straight down, especially with these small trains. Now, if you're in the back, however, this element will probably be one of the strongest moments of airtime you will ever experience. Because of the super long trains and the fact that you aren't even stapled yet by the vest restraints, that just makes this drop even better than before because you get absolutely yonked over it. This element gives some incredible sustained ejector airtime, and this is definitely the highlight of the ride for me. I went more in depth on this drop in my best airtime moments video, and I highly encourage you to go check that out as I worked really hard on it. Then, after the first drop, you hit a really tight pullout, which will definitely lower your vest restraint down, but on the bright side, it gives a great amount of positive Gs. Then comes the dive loop. Now, I don't know what RMC was on when they designed this, but this element is absolutely crazy. In my opinion, this element is best in the front row because you get some great sustained airtime cresting the dive loop, since it doesn't twist down until mostly midway through it. This element is still really good in the back row as you don't get a whole lot of airtime cresting it, but you get some great laterals on the way down. Then you fly through a massive camelback that will give some great sustained ejector airtime throughout the train. I particularly enjoy this element in the back just because of the way it's profiled, as when you reach the top of the element, you are immediately yanked back down. Then you fly into a 0G stall, which will give some great sustained hang time throughout the train. This actually used to be a lot of people's favorite element when the ride was running super slow because it gave even better hang time then. Then, after the stall, you fly into a turnaround, and it really depends how good this turnaround will be on what time of day you're riding the coaster. In the morning, when the coaster is running really slow, this turnaround really gives some very faint laterals and only floater airtime cresting and descending the drop. Though, if the ride is running really fast, like at nighttime, cresting the element, you get some great sustained ejector airtime, and dropping off of it, you get some really good sustained ejector airtime. The drop off the turnaround also made an appearance in my top 10 best airtime moments video, so again, I highly encourage you to go check that video out. It's got 23 views, please help a kid out. After the turnaround, you head into a 0G roll, which really didn't do a whole lot for me. The element was just kind of there. Then you fly into the mid-course brake run, which actually doesn't really slow you down anymore, but it did before it had a little bit of an inspection after an accident on Stunt Pilot at Silverwood. Now, the second half really depends on how the coaster is running. If it's running great, the turnaround gives some great sustained positive Gs, and the two Trick Track bunny hills give some good ejector airtime. Though, if the ride is running really slow, the turnaround still gives some good positive Gs either way, but the two bunny hills will only give some faint floater airtime. The best part of the second half is definitely that little speed hill before the brake run, as it does give a good pop of ejector airtime, whether it's running slow or fast. Then, after that last bunny hill, you get one quick pop of airtime if you're in the front row into the final brake run. Then that ends your 3,000-foot ride on Jersey Devil Coaster. In my eyes, you'll either love Jersey Devil Coaster or you'll be pretty underwhelmed by the ride experience. But I got 16 rides on this thing, front, back, and middle, and I can safely say that this is in my top 2. It was actually my number 1 for a little bit, and then I realized that Wicked Cyclone was just a tiny bit better. Luckily, when I went to Six Flags Great Adventure, there wasn't a whole lot of people there, and it was a walk-on for most of the day. While in line, I also met Canobie Coaster there, so shout out to him. Now, there are 2 things I forgot to mention. The first one is the ride smoothness. Now, I was actually expecting Jersey Devil to be a little bit smoother than it actually was, as don't get me wrong, this is an insanely smooth ride, but there are a few bits of bad track profiling. One of them is the valley right before the 0G stall, as you can feel a huge jolt in the train, and that will definitely shake a little bit. Though in my eyes, it doesn't affect the ride experience one bit. Another thing I forgot to mention were the ride's restraints. Jersey Devil has your classic RMC Raptor vest restraints, and a lot of people complain about these, but they didn't really bother me too much. I didn't really get stapled at all, and the only really part where I was feeling a little uncomfortable was on the last lap after all of those valleys. Though, again, it didn't really affect the ride's airtime or the ride experience itself. Would it be better with lap bars? Of course, but at least they're not as bad as the B&M vest restraints. I'm looking at you, Wild Eagle. But overall, what would I rate Jersey Devil Coaster? Of course, if you already guessed, I'm giving this ride a 10 out of 10. I loved this ride so much, I even spared the extra change to get myself a mug. So it looks like that is going to do it for my review on Jersey Devil Coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. What did you guys think of this review, and what do you think of Jersey Devil? Let me know in the comments down below. And just to let you guys know, I'm only posting on the weekends now, except for when I'm on school break, so I just wanted to let you guys know. Now, I highly encourage you guys to subscribe, as these videos take a ton of time to make, and that would really be awesome, as you can always change your mind later. Now, without further ado, like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.